So good morning, everybody, and it's nice having you on our webinar for today. And my name is Deji Ario, and I'm going to be your host for today. And for the next 1 hour, we're going to be having discussion about project management and how we can leverage on that to translate ideas to product. So what I would like to do is introduce myself a little bit. And in the process, please, I will appreciate if you can quickly introduce yourself as well. So I'm going to enable a poll right now for you to tell us about yourself in terms of your industry, your current location, and how you heard about this particular webinar as well. So please, we appreciate if you can. Please go ahead and vote. So, while I introduce myself, so you can introduce yourself as well. I mean, through the poll by telling us a little bit about yourself. So that's going to be great. So now it's been enabled. So please go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit to us. All right. So a bit about myself. My name is Deji Ario. I work for Arabica Training, and generally. I've got quite a number of certifications, sorry, not to intimidate anybody, or they are nothing actually, just to be able to add value to my clients. And that's how I've been able to add quite a number of them over the years. And generally, my certifications are around IT service management, project management, business analysis, talent and competency management. Experience-wise, quite a number of organizations in Nigeria and in the UK. Yes, that's just a little bit about myself. We can catch up on LinkedIn or Twitter. So please, you can add me or follow me on. Follow me on LinkedIn. And yes, if you follow, come on. Yes, you can follow me on LinkedIn and Twitter if you feel we can get anything from each other or help each other in any particular way. All right. So please still go ahead and complete the poll for us to be able to meet all of you. So that's going to be great to meet you. A quick one about how to get the best out of this 1 hour session. As you can see there, the duration is 1 hour. And taking questions, I may not be able to speak or allow people to speak within the next 1 hour, but please, you can ask questions at any point in time. So you can send your questions through the chat. And I will try as much as possible to answer the questions as we go along. But if I feel that some other sections of the webinar will answer your question, I may not answer immediately. But please send all your questions. And at the end of this particular 1 hour webinar, I will filter through all the questions and see the ones I may not have answered. But please, as we get along, keep sending your questions, and I will try as much as possible to answer those questions as much as I can. And I cannot promise that I'm going to have answers to all your questions, so I'm not sure of that. But I will try my possible best to answer your questions. I think somebody is trying to raise hand. Sorry, raise hand means I will allow you to speak, but this session will not be allowing people to unmute to speak. Because it's just 1 hour session. So if you have any question, please send it through the chat. Now, the video recording is going to be made available to you on YouTube. So when we finish today, later today, we're going to download from Zoom and upload on YouTube. So we're going to send the link to everyone on our channel. I mean, it's going to be uploaded on our channels and channel. And the presentation slides as well will be made available to you. The presentation slides that we use in this session. And if you have any other question outside of this session, please do not hesitate to contact us through our website. If you come to our website, you can chat with us, and even through the chat. But even if nobody is there at night, you can still send us a message, and we will definitely get back to you within 24 hours. Yes. So, but during the day, yes, we are there to answer your question through chat, through phone, through email. So whichever channel is easier for you, please send your questions in, and we will try our possible best to answer your questions. So please still go ahead and complete the poll. It's going to be great to meet everybody. So we've got about 42 out of 59 completing it. So please, we will definitely appreciate you completing the 3 simple questions. As we can see here, the industry, so we have quite a bit of people from banking, IT, government, parastatals, and yes, and we have many people in Lagos, and then so many people coming from other cities as well. And then yes, and a lot of people heard about this via the email. So please go ahead and complete the poll. Okay, just to let you know as well, in terms of agenda for today, for the next 1 hour, that's next 55 minutes right now. Yes, I'm gonna talk to you about the introduction, just generally about how an organization works within 1 or 2 minutes, and then dovetail into the idea and product management, and then talk about project complexity modeling into project management, and how we then manage project, waterfall, agile, and use all of these to bring products to life. Then conclude. That's what basically these are what we're gonna cover within this 1 hour session. Okay, so let's get right into it, and please continue to complete the survey or the poll if you have not done that. Now, see, whatever I'm going to say here right now is what many of you definitely will know already. But just to give us a little context into what we going to be talking about today. So I know all of you, or many of you that are attending this particular session, you're working within an organization, and within every organization, whether government, parastatals, or private establishment or NGO, every organization has vision, mission, values, and the organization as well is being governed by a set of guys. Right. So, and I know you know that. And again, you know as well that every organization has the day-to-day side, and every organization has the change side, which is basically what we call strategy. And we're going to be talking about the ideas here. So you can see the ideas there. That is our main objective for today. So every organization has those 2 sides. So let's start with the day-to-day side of the organization. The day-to-day side of the organization is normally partitioned into silos. So you can see quite a number of silos there based on functional departmentalization, but that's not the only way to departmentalize an organization. That is just an example of how organizations are departmentalized in order to be able to provide products and services to the customers on a day-to-day basis. So every organization has a customer, whether internal customers or external customers. Even the government, the governmental organizations, they have customers, and we are the customers. The citizens. We are the customers that they are serving, and in return for money. So what we call the money in business is, we call that sales or revenue, and likewise in government as well, and NGOs, we call them revenue as well. Government makes revenue through taxes. So no organization can survive without money. And the guys ruling the organization here, the senior or the executive management guys, they are always on the lookout for profit or loss. Because if we take away the cost we incur in delivering the service from the revenue we make, then we then know whether we make profit or loss. It's very, very simple. There is nothing big about it. But the fact that we make profit today does not mean that we're going to make profit tomorrow. And you may be thinking, oh, what about government? Do they make profit? Yes, government does make profit as well. Why or how? Because, by doing more good, by creating more jobs, by fixing more roads, or building more schools, or building more hospitals. All of these are the profits that government can declare at the end of the year. So everybody is looking for more money in order to do good, and reduction of the cost of governance. So whether in private, public, or NGO organization. Well, let's just leave that. That's just to provide a little context to what we're talking about, that every organization out there, we're always looking for ideas to increase our revenue and reduce our cost. So, and that's where the ideas come in. So every day, the senior management guys are always thinking, how do we get ideas to reduce our cost and increase our revenue? See, that's where strategy comes in. So those ideas, we go into what we call portfolio. So we have a portfolio, and I'm going to be showing you a little bit more about that. Then some of the ideas will be combined together, probably because they are related by different factors, probably related based on location, or related based on function, or related based on whatever product or services. So they can be related based on many factors. And within the portfolio or program, we then have projects. But you see, project, program, or portfolio, all of them together, they are just ideas to bring about change to the way we serve our customers. Right? That's the entire stuff. Okay. And when a project finishes, because a project is a unit within a program or within a portfolio, and when we then finish, when we're done, no audio over here. Okay. I think somebody's struggling with the audio. Let me just confirm, right? Co-host, can you hear me? Just to be sure that. Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, fantastic. So please, can you help me, yes, get across to somebody struggling with voice? Probably the person may need to log out and then log back in. All right, so let's continue. You see, so within an organization, right, we need ideas to improve the services or improve the products that we're delivering to our customers. And those are normally handled as projects. And when projects finish, we then deliver the outputs to the operational side. That's the BAU side. That's the day-to-day side. And then our internal processes will change, our internal people will change, or our product will change, or the way we even deliver the product will change. Possibly we used to deliver the product face-to-face, and now we're then going to be delivering the product online. So all of these are called changes. We normally could have started from the idea, from the idea. Yes, yes, which could have, yes, probably it's your side, John, as well. I'm so sorry about that. Yeah. Okay, good. All right. So this is basically how an organization works. Next, let's take it further. Okay. Just in a nutshell, we have the change side of the organization and we have the BAU side of the organization. And this is to tell us as well that even from the BAU side of the organization, that's the business as usual. So BAU means business as usual, or the ongoing, or what some people call operation, right? We can have a lot of ideas as well coming from this side back to this side, right? But I'm going to be coming back to that. But please remember, we have two sides of the organization, the change side and the BAU side, and the two of them are coexisting. Yes, they're coexisting, and we need to have a balance between them. Now, a little bit about change as well. You see, this particular diagram here, I put that here to let you know that no organization in the world will continue to grow. Look at that. No organization in the world will continue to grow. No country will continue to grow without ideas. So we need ideas that will help us to continue to grow, because at some point, we gonna die. Our product or our services will die. Why? Because other people will copy whatever we're doing. Okay, other people will copy us. And because other people will copy us, or people will find better idea about how to do it, just imagine if we are still back in the Henry Ford's T model day. Yeah, if we're still back in the Henry Ford's T model days, just imagine that, and look at the amount of inventions and innovations that are taking place within the automobile industry. Okay, yes, some people are asking, yes, the recording will be made available to everybody on YouTube at the end of the day. Yes, okay. Now, so just imagine that. Just imagine all of those within the automobile industry. So no organization can continue to grow. Why? Your invention will become a yesterday invention. And in order to stay alive, in order not to die, we need new ideas. So every day, organizations are looking for new ideas. So ideas cannot come only from the CEOs or from the top management, or from the middle management, we expect that ideas should come from everybody, from the employees to the middle managers to the top managers to the CEO. So everybody, top down, bottom up, we need ideas flowing everywhere. All right, we need ideas in order to stay alive. Okay, yes, fantastic. All right, so I'm just trying to check some of the chat. All right, nice to meet you. Okay, so we have these ideas that must flow everywhere, top down, bottom up. Next, and if you look at this, not every idea will be a great idea. So please, I'm getting into our real session right now. Since we need ideas to stay alive, we cannot continue to do what we do and expect to stay alive for too long. I mean, what we do is what we call BAU. That's business as usual. So things cannot continue as usual and expect that, yes, we're going to continue for too long. We need new ideas from people. So these are people, bottom up or top down, meaning from the CEO to the employees, employees to the CEO. We need ideas coming from everybody. And when those ideas, when they come in, not every idea is a good idea, okay? So they're gonna go through a funnel. You see, this funnel here is what we call portfolio management. So we need portfolio management plus strategy. So this is where we have portfolio and strategy to filter those ideas. Because if every idea should make it, if I think about it, right, we do not even have the resources to implement every idea. So we then need to find a way to rank the ideas. Which one should be, which one is better than what? And based on what? Based on what? So every organization or good organization, we have a process to handle these ideas, right, which is part of portfolio management and strategy management, and screen the ones that we should concentrate on. So there's a screening process going on. As soon as we screen them, we then select the ones that we feel we should work on. And that's where project management then comes in. Though project management kind of overlaps with the portfolio management and program management. All right, I'll talk a little bit about that later. But just to give you a little flavor of how within an organization we have ideas. So ideas from everybody, including yourself, including myself. So everybody must play his part or her part in bringing innovation or innovative ideas to the company. And then the company can take the ideas through the screening process to decide whether we need to go ahead with them or not. Now, going ahead with them would then mean that we need to have something we call business case. I'm not here to talk in detail about business case, but business case is just what we call justification or rationale. Why should we drop an idea, or why should we go forward with another idea? Yes. Sorry, somebody cannot hear, but I think you will need to log out. Probably it's your connection. All right. So the business case is basically about benefit and cost. That's cost benefit and the risk. So we have the red side and we have the green side. So for every idea that comes in, we have the benefit and we have the risk and cost. And at the end of the day, we can do what we call ROI, which everybody knows, right? That's return on investment. So what do we then gain for the money? This is the cost or the investment that we put in, and this is the return. All right. So we need to know the return on our investment, and that can really help. Yes, that can really help to actually make that decision. Now, as soon as that decision is made, that yes, this idea is better or makes sense, we start to create that product. So we then have some guys called product managers. Okay, so let's just write their name here. So that's the product managers. Let me say plural. So we have product managers, and plus we have business analysts as well. Well, the business analyst could have started work a long time from the beginning, because the business analysts actually write the business case for each of those ideas to check whether those ideas make sense or not. Okay, so this business analyst could have started earlier on, but the product managers as well, yeah, they may just be coming in right now, or they may have started earlier on as well. So these guys, I mean, the product manager basically manages a particular idea. That is from when the idea had been selected to make, it makes sense. The idea makes sense from that point to the end of his life. So that means a product manager's job will cover the development of that idea into a product or into a service. And that's where we incur a lot of money. You can see that money, all right? We're incurring a lot of money, and we are still in the red, so it's all about cost. So until we launch the product in the market, we don't begin to make money, all right? Though it's possible to have some benefit. You can see that green part, even during development. For instance, just imagine if we are Apple Inc. If we are Apple Inc. and we announce to the market right now that we are innovating a new phone, right, that can read people's mind. A new phone that can read people's mind. We're going to be launching that next year. What do you think is going to happen to our share price? Our share price is just going to go up, because people believe that, wow, a lot of people may want to buy that phone next year. That means our revenue is going to be going up. So if you buy our share right now, you're going to be getting a lot of dividends. So sometimes we can get some benefit during the development by just making an announcement, but that does not mean that we've started to make any sale. See, but the real sale, the real benefit itself, or the bulk of the benefit is going to come in after we've launched the idea, launched the product. You see, so a product manager is responsible for the development of that idea into a product or into a service and growing it after launching, then growing it and up to maturity. But like I said, we all know no product continues forever. Okay, we reach that saturation point where we begin to die. So every product will die, like iPhone version 1. It's now dead. Version 2 now dead. We then have some newer versions, right? But the key thing is nothing continues forever, and in order for us to stay alive, we need to keep innovating, and that means we're going to need product managers forever. We're going to need business analysts forever, and we're going to need project managers forever as well. Now, why am I showing you this? This is just to let you know that as a product manager, they get involved from the beginning. From when the idea is selected till when that particular product dies. Meanwhile, we're going to be talking about project itself, which basically covers this part, mostly. So they are in development, developing the new product, translating the new ideas to reality. Okay, so product managers are pretty much like mini CEOs because they manage services and products end to end, and they are responsible for the profitability of the product or the profitability of the service that we may have just created. Now, next question now is, how do we then translate the idea here? Okay, let me write idea here to product that can be launched. So this particular place between here and here is what we call project. Okay? This is what we call project, and translating that to real life or to real product or real service is a big deal. We then need project managers. We need project managers. And I know a lot of people and a lot of us here, we've heard about project management. It's not a new thing, okay? And we've heard about waterfall. We've heard about Agile and all of those. And we're going to be talking about those. How do they all come together to help a project manager translate or transform idea to a product that we can launch in the marketplace? Okay. Now, the first thing we do when we get an idea, again, I'm not teaching you this. This is just to give you an example. Now, the first thing we do is to check the complexity of how to implement that idea. Is it a very complex idea? And I'm very sure a lot of you as well, you could have heard about this word called VUCA. VUCA is a common word. VUCA means volatility. Volatility, uncertainty, or certainty, and complexity. So that's that complexity over there, and ambiguity. Now, so the more the VUCA in the idea, the more risky it is. Ambiguous means we don't really know much about it. Okay, volatility means anything can change at any time, just like that. Okay, so when we have an idea, before we then decide as to how to go about the idea, we need to know how complex that idea is. And many organizations, they've built or developed in the as part of the portfolio management processes, they've developed what we call project complexity modeling. That's project complexity modeling. So how do we then model the complexity of a project? Number one, we may start by asking ourselves about the customer. Sorry, I know this is a very, the texts there are quite tiny, I know, all right? Just to give you an idea, not to actually give you the text, okay? But you can still see it a little bit, all right? So the first thing we check here is the customer. So with this idea within the organization, will it affect many customers? What impact will it have on customers? Is it no impact or just general awareness, so it's not going to change anything they do right now? Or will it require minor behavior, or will it require major shifts in their behavior? Because if an idea will involve a major shift in our external customers' behavior or internal customer behavior, then that means it's complex. Because all of us, think about yourself, we do not really like change. You know, anything that is true that will require me changing my lifestyle, I don't want it. I'll tell you, oh, can I consider that tomorrow? I want to push it off. So any idea that will require a major change from the customer, we say that is the highest level of complexity. You know, then next, we're then going to look at the risk exposure. Okay, downstream and upstream processes, and there's so much risk here. No impact, or the other way, the other end, major impact. And if it's no impact, that's 0. If it's at that level, that's 10. And this one is 20, that one is 40. This is just an example. This is not a rule, guys. So I'm not saying you should take this to your organization, but if your organization does not have any of these project complexity modeling, yes, you can adapt. Do not adopt, but you can adapt whatever I've got here in your organization, and that can be ready to go as well. With just a little work. Discussing with some other key stakeholders within your company. Then next, we're looking at the impact on the internal teams. We're looking at the impact on the external partners as well. We're looking at how many stakeholders will be affected, and we're looking at the knowledge of the technology. So the technology that we're going to be, if this is going to affect tech, so do we even know about that technology and the knowledge about the application of processes and the number of IT platforms that will be involved or that will be affected, and the number of application system interfaces, all of these APIs. How many APIs do we need to call into our new application? And the more the number, the more complex the project will be. And the number of service providers, the total cost of the project, and the timeline of the project. You see, by the time we think about these and many other factors, but this is just an example. By the time we think about these factors, we know whether the project is complex or not. Because that will tell us the level of VUCA within the project. Next, what then happens is within the organization as part of the framework as well, we then have a complexity score. Because each of these that we've talked about here, we could have been scoring them. So this is an example of a project. So probably this one's called C here. C means 20. That's 20 here as well. C again, 20. That one is 10. And so on and so forth. So at the end of the day, we're going to have a score, all right, for a particular project. And when we have that score, many organizations will then add to their framework to say if a project scores between 0 and 200, it's not that complex. It can be managed at departmental level, and we do not even need a project steering committee for that. And when it comes to who should manage it as a project manager, we just need a junior project manager because it's not a big deal. It's a simple project. Okay, but if a project scores 210 to 350, that will be at divisional level. We may require a project steering committee. We need a full project manager and so on and so forth, because that kind of project is just complicated or standard and so on and so forth. So organizations, they normally develop these project complexity modeling framework to aid the decision making as to whether a project is simple or not. And that brings us to this particular framework, which we call Cynefin framework. Right? What is Cynefin framework? It's called Cynefin. It sounds like CY, whatever, but it's a Welsh word. it's pronounced as Carnevin framework, which talks about types of projects. So from that modeling, we then categorize the project into one, simple. This is what we call simple project, or complicated, or complex, or chaotic, or disorder. We don't even know. I mean, just disorder. We don't know where it is. All right? And most of the time we wouldn't know if we've not performed that modeling assessment, that the project complexity modeling assessment. All right, so let's start with the simple. What is a simple project? You see, a simple project is a project where X equals Y. Now, what is X? X is the problem, okay? And Y is the solution. And equals is the means. Okay? So we know the problem, we know the solution. There's nothing unknown. There's no ambiguity here. No ambiguity at all. We know the problem, we know the solution, and the means. In fact, we have driven on that road several times. So we know about it, right? We've done this type of project over and over and over again, okay? Though it's still a project, but we've done it several times. So there's nothing new about it. So we call such project simple or obvious, okay? And then we have another type of project that we call complicated. In complicated, we have X is approximately Y, okay? X is, approximately Y means we know the problem, we know the solution as well, but the path between A and B is not that clear. For instance, let me give you an example of that. Let's assume that we're talking, we've got quite a number of people from banking, right? From banking industry on this core. So we've got banking, that's the core banking software, okay? Core banking software. For example, Finacle, LIFECYCLE, or wherever. You see, let's assume that we've implemented for bank A, all right? And end to end. And then we then get called by bank B to help them implement. You see, let's assume that we are implementing Finacle. Finacle. Since we've been implementing Finacle, all right, we know about the problem that Finacle solves. We know Finacle itself, okay? So going to bank B, we are not just creating Finacle. We are only implementing an existing solution, but it's complicated. What makes it complicated? Because of the environment. Because the environment and the processes within bank A will be different from the environment in bank B. So that is complicated, and we're going to need an experienced project manager to manage that because of the complexity in the relationship, but not in the solution, because the solution itself is known. Okay, so we call such projects complicated. And many of our ideas as well, many of our ideas would be us copying ideas from somewhere else, wanting to implement in our environment. Then that would just be complicated project. And many of our ideas would be obvious project, just copy and paste. We've even done it before in one side of our business, so we just need to do it in another side of the business. Oh, that's going to be a simple project. And when we're dealing with simple project and complicated project, meaning simple ideas and complicated ideas, all right? When we're dealing with those, what we then tend to use, sorry, let me come to this. What we tend to use, we start to talk about the project management frameworks. Project management frameworks. Now, what are these project management frameworks? There are quite two big frameworks in the world. There are some other ones, but there are two big ones in the world. One, PMP, and two, PRINCE2. PMP is just project management professional, which is owned and coordinated by PMI in the US. The certification actually started in 1984, though the organization started in 1969 as a project management advocacy group. But in 1984, they got to actually offering certification, and the PMBOK, so the entire certification is based on PMBOK, but the first version of PMBOK itself was published in 1996. Just the historical stuff, more than 1 million PMPs in the world. And when it comes to where PMP is strong, they're quite strong on some of these special techniques like earned value, critical path, calculation, leadership skill. And the entire PMBOK as well is focused mainly on project managers, all right, just on project managers. And when it comes to marketing, all right, when it comes to marketing and positioning in the marketplace, it's positioned mainly as standard, as a standard. I mean, that's project management standard, yes, which can work within, within which Agile or Waterfall can work. And I'm coming back to that. Then next, let's quickly look at PRINCE2, owned by Axelos. Used to be owned by the UK government, but in 2013, the UK government then divested 51% of their ownership in it. So UK government still owns 49% in the methodology itself, but 51% was sold off to Capita, a particular company in the UK called Capita PLC. So Capita and UK government, the UK government, they own, the two of them, they own PRINCE2, and then the two of them formed a new company called Axelos. Okay, so Axelos is a joint venture between the UK government and Capita PLC. Okay, but the certification itself, the exam is coordinated by PeopleSat, but the methodology itself is owned by Axelos. The Prince certification actually started in 1989, though it had a very long history as well, early 70s for IT project, but foremost certification, 1989, the first PRINCE2 book, that's the Prince, that was Prince, but the first PRINCE2 book was published in 1996, pretty much like Pinbook, and we have over 1.5 million people in the world who are PRINCE2 certified. And the strength of PRINCE2 mainly, one is positioned as a methodology. So PRINCE2 has some suggestions when it comes to you actually doing the job of a project manager, not just a standard, but the real job like document. And again, PRINCE2 is quite strong when it comes to the entire project management team structure. That's the entire governance structure, not just project manager. It focuses on the direction, management, and delivery. So having about 10 roles. So PRINCE2 talks about 10 roles, while PMP mainly focuses on 3 main roles. If I'm one main role, project manager, then mentions sponsor, and then mentions the team. But that's it. That's about it. But PRINCE2 is kind of quite elaborate when it comes to governance, arrangement, and project management team structure. But the two of them, to be honest with you, it's all about marketing. They are almost more alike these days. You know, before they used to be very different, but they've copied from each other. So they're almost alike these days. Yes, but PRINCE2 is positioned as a methodology, and PMP is positioned as a standard. So as a project manager, absolutely, if you are into project management, I would advise both of them. Now, let's move on, just to give you an idea of the project management stuff. Now, what exactly is project management? As you all know, okay, as you all know, transforming an idea from an idea to product, we have start and end. So we have a project management, as you all know, or a project is a temporary endeavor to help translate idea to product. It's as simple as that. It's a temporary thing we do that has start and end, and that's why we call it temporary, right? To translate idea to product. How do we do that? Number one, here I've just given you an example, and I know the texts are quite tiny as well, okay, but I will explain them. So every project, irrespective whether PRINCE2 or PMP or Agile, and I'm gonna get to that again. You see, all of them, right, they will definitely have a start, which PMP calls initiating, PRINCE2 calls it starting up, Agile PM calls it feasibility, all right? So it doesn't change anything, right? And from there, after that start, we then get into planning. PMP calls it planning, PRINCE2 calls it initiating a project, and Agile PM calls it foundation. It doesn't matter. It's still the same thing. All of them are just confusing us, okay? It's same thing. Then next, after you plan the project, so this one is pretty much like clarify. Clarify the idea that we want to implement or we want to turn to product. Then after we are clear about it, then plan it. Okay? So there's nothing big about it. Then after you've planned it, then implement your plan. We call this implementation, right? Implement your plan. Now, PMP calls implementation, execution, and monitoring and control together. Okay, PRINCE2 calls it directing a project plus controlling a state plus managing state boundary and product delivery. You know, so PRINCE2 has quite a number of processes in there to help implement. And Agile PM calls it evolutionary development. And that's where we have sprint and deployment and releases or whatever. See, it's still the same thing. They just keep calling it different names. So project management is project management anywhere. Whether PRINCE2 or PMP or Agile, whatever, it's still the same thing. Nothing has changed. Okay, and then at the end of the day, we then close. Close is when we hand it over. That's when we hand it over to the BAU, where the product or the service can be given to the customers, right? Whether internal customers or external customers. So every project we have clarification, planning, implementation, and then closing. Now, at a very high level, the starting will be triggered by the SOW, which is what you call statement of work. I want something done. I want this idea implemented. Or PRINCE2 calls it project mandate. Agile PM calls it term of reference, TOR, T-O-R. You see, just I want this done. And when that comes in, we then need a project manager that will help answer 4 questions. Who, what, why, how. Okay, and our major question in this session is it's all about the how. I think I need to be faster now. How? And the answers to these, we go into a project charter, which is going to be submitted to the senior guys for approval. If they approve it, we then come to planning. And planning is where we're considering the scope of work. This is an IT project here. That's the scope of work. We then calculate how long will it take to get the job done. Okay, so that's the scope of work, that's the requirement, that's how long will it take, how long. So we know the scope of work, we know how long, then we then do how much. And at the end of the day, when we get to implementation, we need a project manager who will start to monitor. Are we working according to our plan? Because we planned it, are we working according to the plan? That's the target planned, and that's the actual, and whether we have variances. And if there are variances, we call that deviation. You then start to control them, or we call them issues. And this is what project managers do all around the world. And when everything is finished, all right, we hand over the product to the customer, and then that's it. So we call this project management. No big deal, all right? Now, but generally here, this is what we call waterfall. Now, back to my story about simple project and complicated project. Now, one thing about simple projects and complicated projects, so simple projects and complicated projects, is the fact that we know something about them, right? We know about the problem, we know about the solution, which means we can gather the entire requirement from the start. We do not need to wait. Why? We have done it in the past. We even have the historical plan for the last time we did it. Right, and that's where what we call waterfall can work. So whether waterfall or Agile, you see, they fit into PMP and PRINCE2, because I hear a lot of people out there saying, oh, PMP and PRINCE2, they are not Agile, they are waterfall. That's nonsense, guys. Okay, the truth about the matter is whether waterfall or Agile, we still need to clarify the idea. We need to plan the idea, we need to implement it, and we need to close it. So PRINCE2 or PMP, they are not, so they are not synonymous to Agile and waterfall. That's nonsense. So what changes here is just this middle. So if we know a lot about the solution that we want to implement, we just go for waterfall, meaning we do not need to have iterations. We just go big bang once, end to end once, and then the customer will get whatever they ask for at the end, depending on the type of project and the complexity. But let's take that further. Now, what about if we then have complex idea? You remember X equals Y here, and you remember X is approximately Y, but key thing here is we know the problem, we know the solution, we know the means. But in complex, we have X is not equal to Y. You see, we know the problem, but we do not really know the full solution, but we have an idea of the solution. But the problem here is we do not even know how to go from where we are to the end, because the entire road is kind of blocked, or the entire road is kind of foggy. There's fog. We cannot see clearly. See, and because of this not being able to see clearly, that's the means of moving from point A to point B, that is from problem to solution. We then need what we call Agile, because we find ourselves in a complex environment. It means we have to probe, and then, that is do, and then sense before we then know what to do next. And that's what we call emergent practices. Now, how does that work? Now, just because of time, back to our project management. Like I said, every project we have a start. I mean, that's the clarification, planning, and then implementation. So we start by understanding what problem we are solving, all right? And next, up to what we know, we're going to start planning a little that we know, all right? Though this requirement will be revisited again and again, that is revisit, initiating and planning again and again, that is initiating here and planning. So we're going to be revisiting this several times. But in waterfall, it looked like this. In waterfall, it looked like this. But in Agile, we cannot do this. Why? We don't know everything here. So since we do not know the entire requirement, it's ambiguous. What we then do is we start with what we know. And this a little start is what we call sprint. So sprint one, look at sprint one. Sprint one, we gather a little requirement based on what we know, do a little design, like wireframe or whatever, do a little development, and do a little build and test and develop. And that will be our first iteration, right? That's sprint one. And we're then going to give it to the customer to get their feedback. Do you like it? And if they like it, oh yes, then we can come back and do more, right? That's the second iteration. And we show it to the customer again. Do you like it? Get their feedback. And based on the feedback, we can gather more requirements, all right? And come back again and go for the next. And this continues forever. And this particular project management framework is what we call Agile, or some people call it iterative or adaptive. Iterative because we are going back and forth. So it's not one goal. Because in waterfall, we know everything. We can easily carry out that idea. But here, we are going iteratively. And two, we are adapting to what we are finding in the marketplace. And we are gathering lessons and learning from experience, which is based on this principle called empiricism. Empiricism is just experimentation, learning from experience, learning by doing, trial by error. So that means we can never develop the entire product once and for all. We're going to be developing our product. We're going to be translating the idea to real life product incrementally. All right. And that's what we call Agile. But it's possible to mix them as well. So we can mix both Agile and waterfall. How can we mix that? Now, if I then get involved in a project, let's assume that I want to build a very highly technologized house, technology-led house. The house itself, building the house itself is known, but adding technology to the house is not that known. Let's just assume. You see, so I can use waterfall for the building of the house, but when it comes to automating the house itself, then we're going to use Agile. So it means we may not finish the entire automation once. It means people can start living in the house while we're still automating some part of the house itself. You see, so we can use hybrid, absolutely. But the key thing is we apply waterfall, right, which is called predictive, means we can predict a lot. We apply waterfall when we know a lot, and we apply Agile when we do not know a lot, because we have high VUCA, we have high volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And that's where Agile comes in. So you can see here, there's no closing, okay, because the closing are at the end of the sprint, and whatever lesson we are learning, we are using for the next and for the next. So the closing is not really closed out, because even as we use the product, all right, we keep learning from real life to evolve our product over time and based on what we are learning. So we're going to be learning to see whether things are working the way we intended or not. Now, yes, somebody said because iterating, will not cost more to implement. Now, just to quickly answer your question, Sheil, all right? To quickly answer your question, when somebody says it will cost more, no. You see, what happens in Agile, in fact, let me quickly use this next slide. I'll come back to this. Let me use this next slide to explain that. You see, everything we need in Agile, basically we go into a backlog, okay? This backlog, since we know we can never do everything, all right, what we do is we prioritize and focus on what we need to do right now, okay? And when we prioritize, in order to prove the idea, don't forget that let me go back to that just because of time, so that I can can answer your question fully. You see, when you go back to this particular place, you're going to find that the first thing here is probe and sense, right? Probe and sense. It means that we don't know exactly what to do. And since we do not know exactly what to do, doing too much too early, we amount to that waste of money that you are thinking about. All right. So we then do a little, we then prioritize what we can do to probe. So we prioritize, to probe, we do a little to probe, and if that little goes well, then we can do more. But if it goes wrongly, then we can even stop. Because sometimes we could have spent too much money before we discover that, oh, we should have stopped long time ago. So Agile is even a cost controlling framework that will not allow us to waste money, because we're going to find out very soon, instead of having to go for too long before we then find out that we shouldn't have been spending money on such a thing. You see, so Agile then says, guys, let's have a small sprint. And the sprint, if I go with Scrum, the sprint is between 1 to 2 weeks. All right, 1 to 4 weeks. 1 to 4 weeks, we can quickly see something, whether it's working or not. And if it is not working, then we can then stop. Okay, what type of Agile, what are the types of, I'm going there now. Just because of time, let's just move on. Yes, that's the Agile. Agile is used for managing complex products or complex ideas, and since they are complex and we don't know so much about them, we're going to take them little by little and deliver them incrementally. Okay, because of time, I'm just going to jump over that. Yes, somebody just asked me quickly, what are the Agile frameworks? You see, there are many Agile frameworks out there, many of them. One, we have Scrum, we have Kanban, we have Lean Startup, we have extreme programming, we have scaled Agile framework, we have discipline Agile, we have DSDM, that's Agile PM, we have DevOps, we have FDD, we have all manner. We have many Agile framework, many Agile framework. But the key thing about the framework itself is the fact that they all do the same thing. It's all about do not do too much at any point in time and only work on few things to discover whether it's working or not, and if it's working, then come back and do more. So simple. Okay, so that's one thing that is common to them. And the Agile framework can be divided into two types of frameworks. One is called lightweight. They are the lighter weight Agile, and the second one is called the extensive one, or heavyweight. You know, the heavyweight are the DSDM, that's the Agile PM, and SAVE. Right, because this DSDM has been changed to Agile PM. So Agile PM and SAVE, they're the heavyweight. Why do we call them heavyweight? And why do we call them lightweight? Quickly, 1 minute. You see, we call them heavyweight because they cover the project from end to end. So they do not just focus on the doing of the work. They focus on end-to-end coverage. But the lightweight, they cover only development. So they're only useful, they're mostly useful in development, like Scrum. Right? Scrum does not talk about planning the entire project. Scrum does not talk about writing a business case, never. You know, and that does not mean that we do not write a business case in Agile. We do, because we must make sure that the idea makes sense before we even start to create them or even gather the requirements about them. Right? But Scrum just focuses on this middle implementation. Right? But the more extensive one, if you are a full-time project manager and not just a Scrum Master, but a project manager, then it's better to go for the extensive one so that you can see how we translate, or we can help an organization to translate idea end to end. Okay? But look at it, right? Irrespective of whether you are using waterfall or you are using Agile, right? Project management remains the same. Translating idea or transforming ideas to product or to services, they remain the same forever. Okay, so the only thing that differentiates waterfall and Agile is this middle, whether we're going to deliver it once or we're going to deliver it little by little. That's all. Okay, next. Normally, just to wrap up, every organization, right, must then create a playbook as to how all of this will tie up together, from taking an idea to product or to the market, right? So we need playbooks as to how waterfall, Agile, hybrid, how they will work together, right? And which is a whole lot of work. So if you need help with that, you can let us know, and we in Arabica and Lauda, we should be able to help you to create your playbook, like the screenshot I put here, as to how all of this will come in together. See, we have quite a number of courses coming up very soon, like PMP coming up very soon, those dates, business analysis, PRINCE2, Agile PM, and even ITIL. That's if you are involved in building IT product, that is another great framework for managing project as well, because the ITIL itself is taking idea from beginning to the end, meaning from project to operations, and making sure that we keep improving those services and products. Yes, so it's from the start to the end. So it's going to be great if you can join us on these courses that we have for the rest of the year. And please, I'm going to quickly, please, I need you to complete this next poll. Please, I need you, please, to complete this next poll that talks about which of these courses you're going to be interested in. That talks about which of these courses you're going to be interested in, while I quickly look at some of the questions that may not have answered. So please indicate your interest in any of them. So if you have multiple, just click the first one that you want, the first, prioritize them and let us know, so that we will contact you to find out more about your interests. So, okay, I think I've been able to answer all the questions. I'm just looking. Yes, is this, yeah, iterating, yeah. So you show, yes, it doesn't always cost more. In fact, it even costs less, because we can avoid a whole lot of mistakes and not overdo stuff, and only do things to prove whether it's even working. And if it works, then we can do more, because it's like trial by error. And don't forget that Agile will not always be applicable to every type of project. Agile is only applicable, it's mostly, not only, sorry, it's mostly applicable to complex projects. That is when we do not know. So if we know, there's nothing wrong with waterfall. There's nothing at all. Because if we know, why do we want to waste our time? Let's just get going, all right? So there's nothing wrong with waterfall. There's nothing wrong with Agile. The only problem and the only challenge that organizations have today is to know when to apply any of them, or when to apply both. That's hybrid. And which side of, if you're going to be applying both, when to apply waterfall and when to apply Agile within the same project. That's where the challenge is. And that's where we need those frameworks. And so if your organization needs help in creating that, we help organizations in creating those frameworks. So thank you. Talking about adopting hybrid strategies, we suggest that one will require skill of, oh yes, to be honest with you, Obed, yes, you will need, as a project manager, if you really get it, if you have chosen project management as a career path, yes, it's going to be good for you to know everything. PMP, PRINCE2, Agile. I've got all of those, but that's still not enough. But at least they kind of open you up to what is available out there, so that you can then pick and choose. So you are pretty much like a medical doctor who knows how to use a lot of tools, but that does not mean that you're going to use all of them on one patient, right? So you've got to tailor them, but having a knowledge of all of them can be quite great as well. Yes, okay. Yes. I think I've been able to answer all the questions. Let me see. So at portfolio management stage, how do you provide resource utilization visibility to be able to schedule next project across all available? That's a big one, Sharaf. To be honest with you, that's another topic entirely. That's resource management, capacity management, and that is another great topic, or else we will not be able to really allocate resources efficiently to the project within our portfolio. But Sharaf, if you are really interested in these, please, let's talk about it. Please hook up with me on LinkedIn, and we can bounce ideas around. But absolutely, it's one of those big challenges that we face in portfolio management. Yes, I will be able to answer your question offline. Yes, offline. Thank you. Let me see. Yes. Okay. Why PMP changes 2nd January? Don't you think the waterfall Agile framework? In fact, they're already embedded. You see, a lot of people are panicking, kind of feeling that the PMP exam is changing. It's not really changing because it's the same pinball. It just rearranged into processes, people, and business environment. Nothing has changed. The business environment is what we normally teach in strategy at the beginning of the course. The people, what they call people right now, most of them are already, they are covered around the project manager's topic and the human resource topics. So nothing much is changing. The process is the normal process: initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, and controlling, and closing. So nothing much is changing. So please do not panic. It's still the same thing. So whether agile or waterfall, yes. Though, like they said, they're going to weave waterfall and agile into the questions, but it's always been there. Because what we then make a big deal out of in Agile Framework today, those days we used to, even part of it used to be called planning packages and rolling wave planning. That sometimes you find yourself in a very complex project where you cannot plan everything ahead, and then you have to just plan with what you do know. So guys, do not panic. No big change in itself, absolutely, in the PMP exam. Project management is project management. Nothing has changed, and I mean it. Nothing has changed. So what we call Agile today has been around forever. How long will it take for a non-project manager to get qualified? Deepak, please, let's catch up on that after this call. Please contact us. We will be able to explain that to you clearly. Yes. Okay, thank you. I think I've run out of time. Yes, I've run out of time, and I really want to thank you for joining us in this course. So please still continue to complete the poll, and thank you for joining us today. We have some other sessions coming along. Yes, quite a number of sessions around project management, around service management, around process management. That's the process improvement. So yes, we're going to be sending invites out again. So please, you can join us in another 1 hour short session like this, and you can learn more. So thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day and stay safe. Okay. Please, if you have not completed the poll, please continue to complete it. Thank you. Okay, I think everybody are done now on the call. Thank you very much, and great. You can end the poll now.